Hey, what's up? I'm gonna be very honest. I don't have much planned for today's episode. It's been a great day. Work has been consistently good back to back, which is awesome. Because I think I've become actually a better programmer. I think it's not just in the sense of like, oh, I'm learning more stuff. Like that's something that's always true and consistent. Anytime I actually put my mind to my computer or just I decide to learn something new. But I think it's becoming to the point where I'm actually like, the way I think I notice is different now, and the way I approach problems and projects, even the way I break them down, it feels more experienced than I usually am. Like sometimes, like even the way I interact with LLMs now is like instead of just like saying, "Hey, do this for me," actually I always make sure to give a role. I always make sure not give it like too much of the project because it's easy. Like I think with LLMs, AIs or ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever you want to use, um, it's very easy. Like, oh dang, this AI has the vast knowledge of the internet and the world, and it knows much more than me, and that's cool and dandy. But my thing is that I know the project I'm working on. I know the problem I want fixed. So I have instead of giving it like, oh, plan this whole thing for me. I say, hey, I want these stuff planned. I want possible ideas for this. Even and something I always do now, I say evaluate this instead of saying like, oh, give me an idea. Because the AI is actually like an actual person. Basically, like it's giving like the most likely idea. What I want to see is the reasoning to see, okay, do I like that sound? Do I like that line of reasoning? Is that logical to me? And if it's not, if I can point flaws, I work from that. Say, okay, I don't like that idea, but I actually like this component. Let me build from that component and build this idea. I think that's a great way to use LLMs. It's not using it as a person, but rather as a tool. I think keeping that barrier is really important. I think it's weird because LLMs do have very much social they're social in nature, right? You talk to them, you share your problems, you brainstorm, you ask for help. It's a very social thing that's been for the longest time been reserved amongst social creatures. Like the only time I can really think of when that's not like one thing between that's not confined to like two humans is like when it's like maybe like, you ask your dog, hey, you talk to your dog, right? But you don't like say, hey, can you do my homework or can you like program this for me? Um, but LLMs are social in nature, but I don't think we should get lost with the idea that they're human in nature. They're very not human. In fact, the more you use them and the more you actually use them for harder and harder tasks and you can't push them to their limits, you realize their limitations and you realize, okay, you're using a tool, you're not like talking to a human. I always get bothered by that whole idea of trying to I can't say this word, anthropomorphize the AIs basically to make them more human than they are. Because I think it almost like it's doing a harm to them. I think, and it's doing a harm to your interaction with the tool because it's when you treat it as a human, you actually get less out of the tool than you can if you treat it as a tool. I have like a pen, right? I like my pens a lot. Pens are cool. When I'm drawing something consistent with a good pen, I become in love with it. But I can't mistake that pen for like this human thing because like the way I interacted with it is much different. I attribute a lot more of my success to that pen. Like, okay, the only reason I'm a good drawer is because I'm using this pen, or the only reason I can do this is because I have the pen with me. And once you do that, you kind of lose that skill, you kind of lose that autonomy, and that's the one thing you don't want to lose when you work with an AI because I think autonomy and being a project manager is actually the best way to interact with an AI, which is really cool. I got lost from the whole thing about work being really cool, but I think it's just much more fun now once I actually feel like I have a better idea of how I approach stuff, and like I'm actually like I don't finish my projects in one day, right? I don't think that's the goal. But like, when I have a problem, once I have like a specific task I want to get done, I get it done that day. Today I stay a bit over time just because I really want to like. I know that sometimes if I'm a stream of thought and I leave and come back, it takes a while to like accelerate back into that stream of thought. So just being able to get that done was really cool because I know I had this RAG evaluation problem where I finished like the intrinsic evaluation, but the thing I'm trying to do now is the extrinsic evaluation plus LMS judge. And the extrinsic evaluation is basically like, okay, what's the final output of this RAG? Which problems and projects, even the way I break them down, it feels more experienced than I usually am. Like system and evaluating that. But what I had to do is create that golden data set, and the golden data set is like the benchmark you run the RAG system on. So like, oh, RAG is retrieval augmented generation, but the benchmark allows me to say, okay, how was this RAG system working on previous or like my ideal data? It's like, is this with the gosh, with the benchmark, you basically have a set of questions and a set of answers and a set of retrieve context you want the thing to pull. And with that, you kind of have the ideal way the rack system should work. So now you can compare your rack system to that. But the issue with my thing is that I was able to use Ragas to generate the questions, but I wasn't able. The way Ragas works is that instead of actually giving like the full question, um, gosh, it uses an okay. So Ragas uses a knowledge graph to kind of see when it's creating the test set to generate the questions. It uses a knowledge graph to see okay what concepts are actually similar, what stuff align. But instead of taking the full document, the full like page of like the different documents and pages or items in wherever you're trying to use RAG on, it actually kind of summarizes like the first the top half of it, like the first part of it, because that's basically like the core idea of whatever document or thing you're dealing with after it chunks it down. So since it does that and it summarizes that, once I actually use Ragas to actually create the test set of questions, I actually don't know where the retrieved context is actually coming from because it summarizes the retrieved context. So what I had to do was I had to implement LangChain. No, so I had to implement Langsmith to kind of actually document, okay, where are these retrieved, where are these summaries coming from? And now I have where the summaries are coming from. I can actually go and do the coding data set myself to a degree because now I can say, okay, I don't know this information, but I can go to the document and try and like with me using my human brain, which is pretty good so far. It's treating me so good so far. That's not to sound the best, but it's treating me pretty well so far. Me using my human brain, I can say, let me look through this document, find the ideal answer, and I can put that in the golden data set. So that's what I was able to get done today, and it was really awesome that I was able to do that. And through doing that, there's a lot of bugs you have to come across, but the way I approached the problem and broke it down, and just like even when I didn't even get tunnel vision to a lot of stuff, like I was able to say, okay, this is leading me nowhere. Let me take a step back and go into this route and just break it down from there. It was so awesome to see like that experience coming in play. I think what I'm trying to say, like in the TLDR of it, is that it's no longer I'm just like, oh, I know how to program an algorithm like Bubblesort or something like that, but it's I know how to approach problems like a programmer now. I think it's a skill I'm still learning, but I don't know, it feels cool. It's like Blue Lock when you learn like meta vision or something like that. It's just like it's a whole new way of playing the game. I'm really excited to have acquired that skill and I can be exploring it more now. But besides, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.